All right, welcome in, everyone, to Members President Worldwide. I hereby call this meeting of the Piece of Shit Book Club to order. I'm your meeting chairperson today, Rich Biblioli. Lovely to see all the members in attendance as I look around the room. Dare I say the most fuckable edition of the pod so far. Bunch of lovely boys we got here. In one corner, weighing in at, 175 pounds, Jane Lynch. Welcome to the pod, Jane.
Oh, always a pleasure to be here. Way overestimated my weight there, but appreciate it nonetheless.
Bo Dashington, Dr. Bo Dashington. Lovely to see you.
Hey, great to see you too.
And of course, invited back again by our producers, Chip Wilson. Chip, lovely to see you.
Rich, how you doing today? I appreciate there was no weight estimate for myself.
It would only be cruel. Actually, I'm in a bad mood today. I'm kind of cranky, but thanks for asking. I mean, number one is daylight savings can get fucked. First of all,
agreed.
Not to get too much into the weeds, but we're recording across a number of different time zones, and I'm in a time zone, a sensible time zone that doesn't use daylight savings. And so it's like past midnight recording this for me. And by the way, I'm sure there's people at home right now that are saying, well, actually, it's not daylight savings, the end of daylight savings, and we're back in regular time. Turn off the podcast. You're out of the book club. We're also celebrating or observing, depending on where you are, Veterans Day, Remembrance Day. I'm sure this will get released later, but we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the sacrifice that the troops have made for us. How are you guys observing this solemn day?
By recording a podcast.
I might watch Passchendaele, but I think after this episode, instead, I might watch the I can't remember the name of the film, the one where Steven Seagal's on a submarine.
Under Siege.
Under Siege.
First pair of titties I
might
ever
watch
saw.
that instead, because I was just thinking about it for some odd reason. I was just thinking about Steven Seagal and was like, you know what? I kind of want to watch Under Siege now.
Is Passchendaele the Canadian one with like the guy from Due South, Paul Gross or whatever?
Yeah,
I don't think that's a very good movie.
It is
Wasn't
not
that being
a
pretty
good film.
Wasn't Justin Trudeau? Didn't he act in that?
Really?
But do you know of any other Canadian films that would, like World War I Canadian military films? That's the only one I know. So
I think I'm mixing it up with
idea.
one called The Great War, a 2007 Canadian-produced film about Passchendaele that starred Justin Trudeau.
I don't know. When you're searching for good Canadian movies, it doesn't really matter what the genre or subcategory is. You're kind of
you're not going to find
you're
it much.
kind of struggling. I watched Saving Private Ryan recently. Maybe that's how I'll do my Remembrance Day.
There you go.
That movie really holds up. Like,
Yeah,
oh
that's
wow,
a
it's a
fantastic
good
film.
Apart from the fact that it opens with American flag waving and closes with American flag waving, which it seems a bit much. But the actual how well the movie's made is astounding.
Yeah, for my money, World War II is the one that we celebrate this day. I know that it's originally a World War I holiday, but really, can you get that excited about avenging the death of the Archduke? That's not a war that really people are that passionate about.
I won't take the bait on that. Let's segue to something else.
Moving on.
I had, all right, well, I'm thinking about my grandfathers today, both of them World War II vets. My grandma had a famous line. They were no good when they went over and they came back worse, was her take about veterans, not necessarily Remembrance Day specifically, but anyways, thinking about the troops today. But actually talking about the troops, today's feature book, Way of the Shadow Wolves, The Deep State and the Hijacking of America, Steven Seagal and Tom Morrissey. Forward by Joe Arpaio, America's Sheriff. First work of fiction that we're doing on the podcast, and I don't want to give up too much in this segment, but easily the worst book so far. And I know we've only done 4 podcasts so far, so maybe you're saying, well, what is that? Why is it really that bad if you've only done 4 podcasts? And I mean, to that, I'd say, why argue with me? It's just a bad book. But before we get into that, we've got the book report, as always, a rundown of what's happening in the world of books. We have a new sponsor this week. Do we want to do the sponsor or do we want to just skip that?
I feel like we
Wow.
don't, but now we need to know. Now we need to
Yeah.
know what you're syncing this podcast with.
Yeah, another surprise sponsor. Great.
Well, this
Is
episode
this,
of the
Raytheon or what?
No, this episode of the Pisha Book Club is brought to you by sildenafilviagra.com. Ladies, go take a lap. Maybe get yourself a cold drink. This one's for the fellas. Boys, take a knee. I'd say that there's really only two kinds of men in the world. There's guys who have tried dick pills and love them and use them all the time, and guys who have never tried dick pills. If you are in this second category, well, now's your opportunity to get on board. Sildenafilviagra.com. Use the code BOOKREPORT at checkout. Pay only shipping and get a free sample of either Viagra, Levitra, or Cialis. Pay by Bitcoin, get 25% off. We have an affiliate link too. It's kind of janky though, so we'll just put it in the show notes. sildenafilviagra.com/promo equals book club. But yeah, we'll drop that into the show notes. But yeah, again, great deals there. Use the code BOOKREPORT on checkout. Save 25% if you link your Bitcoin wallet. So check that out. Get your dick pills. Look, I've been on the dick pills for 6 years. No joke. Swear by them. They are fantastic. It's like, it's like I wouldn't say that I necessarily have ED, but sometimes like you're just in the act and your mind is elsewhere. Like you're thinking about, I don't know, like you're thinking about like that time you struck out in kickball in grade 3 and some kid called you a homophobic slur and you're just like, you're not in the moment. Well, if you're using dick pills, it really doesn't matter. Like you're always given a top shelf performance regardless of where your head is. So yeah, that's sildenafilviagra.com. Use the promo code BOOKCLUB. And
Just,
now
if you want to save a bit of money there, Rich, instead of the dick pills, have you tried semen retention? I heard that works wonders.
I think we debunked that last episode.
That's true. Sold out to Big Pharma.
I prefer a wet one to a dry one, if you know what I'm saying.
Are we cutting that out?
I was gonna say you sound like a very tender lover.
Very tender lover.
Focusing on the strength of your heart on, and also sports games you played as a child.
I'm just using that as a placeholder. Like maybe your partner has put on some weight and you're not as attracted to them anymore and you need some kind of chemical supplement. Wow. Whatever your situation might be. Like maybe you didn't strike out in kickball. Maybe you got your own problems. But the solution is always sildenafilviagra.com. Use the code BOOKCLUB at checkout.
You trying to chase away any possible female listener with comments like that?
That's why I told the ladies to take a lap. And your partner can be of any gender. You're the one who's being heteronormative in this situation. Maybe you have a fat male lover that you're not attracted to either.
A heteronormative statement would be to divide people with penises only into men who've used pills and men who have not. There are also other people with penises, as you may be aware. So
okay, the book report. The book report segment, we run down. Book report segment, we run down what we're reading, what's going on, new releases, what we're keeping an eye on. Boys, what are you guys reading?
Well, segueing from misogyny into something else about misogyny, I've got one book that I was putting on our list of maybe something to look at later. There's a book from the 15th century called The Witch's Hammer, by a guy called Henry Kramer, which was actually like of course at the time in the medieval times, witches were a concern, and the narrative of trying to find witches and then brutally torture them and execute them was used to kind of oppress lots of different people, especially obviously women and older women. But there's actually this manual for what witches do and how to find them, which is almost like a precursor to what we read with T.B. Joshua on how to find demons. So that's something I was looking at and thinking maybe a future episode of the podcast we could take a look at. Might be interesting.
Is it readable or is it really dense and arcane?
I only flipped through a little bit. It's arcane, and it's kind of it's written obviously in a very different style, but yeah, you could read it.
Nice.
I do find the older you go, the harder it is to read. Like becomes even ones from like the early 20th century are just so dry and they just go on for so long. And so one from the 15th century must be.
You go
really
back too
wild.
far and S turns into F. Everywhere in the text now. Great.
You know what though? Not a piece of shit book. Don Quixote. It's an old book, still
Hot
holds
take.
up, and it's funny. It's one like, you know, like the only thing that's like old that's funny is the Three Stooges, and everything else really just isn't that funny anymore. But you read this book, it's actually funny. But we'd have to save that for the Not a Piece of Shit Book Club podcast. So I don't want to get us off topic.
Agreed.
Yeah, let's get back to the books we're reading and the penis pills. We don't want to go wandering too far away from what we're here for.
Jane, Chip, what are you guys reading?
For me, I don't even know why you keep inviting me back. I'm not reading anything right now, so but I'm glad to
You're on
be here,
thin
just
ice.
hanging out. I will say I was looking like 2 weeks ago. I was doing some research trying to find something that would be good and topical for an episode, and I kind of came up short on either what was available or just would actually be interesting. Nothing really caught my eye, so I think I'm going to have to be assigned one coming up here because there's nothing that I've going to volunteer for at this point.
We'll find you something.
We've got that growing list of shitty books that we're maintaining. So, and I'll start adding some links in there to some Kindle editions. So, yeah, definitely we'll hook you up with something shitty there, Jane.
There's always like a lot that people post on the subreddit too. Should review those at some point.
It's hard to find those books a lot, though. Like a lot of times they'll post something and then it's just like the cover and you're like, okay, or maybe it's an Amazon link, but I don't know. But yeah, that's a good point. I should go through. Maybe we could even do a subreddit kind of episode, go through a bunch of the suggestions.
I went through the top post this month in the subreddit. I was looking for something to mine there for content. I mean, I don't want to speak ill of our user base. It's been a slow month on the subreddit. Gotta tell you folks.
It seems to spike once in a while with like a bunch of activity and then nothing.
Yeah.
Did you see that guy posted? There's some guy posted like someone's phone number. And he's like, hey, everybody, blow up this guy's phone because he owes me $50. And it's like the only post of the last month.
It must have got moderated. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I had to block him, obviously, because like the whole subreddit would be taken down. And then he messaged us. He's like, you fucking pussies.
Subreddit drama. I like that. Chip, what are you reading? Anything?
Sorry. No, I'm not reading anything. Not last
Hitting
couple
that
weeks. I've been pretty
vape.
busy with other stuff.
All right. Well, I am. So we discussed this a few weeks ago on the podcast in this segment. I decided to pick up Poems and Prayers by Matthew McConaughey. This is his new release. It came out a few weeks ago, a month ago or so. And when it came out, we were discussing earlier, we were hesitant to label it a piece of shit. I can confirm there was never much doubt, but I can confirm 100%. The book's not even just a piece of shit. The book's a con job. Okay. The Kindle edition is 87 pages, most of them blank. Like he'll have a few lines of poetry on one page and then skip to the next page and there'll be a little doodle that he wrote. There can't be a few thousand words in the entire book. The Kindle edition, $14.99. Now, if you look at the hardcover edition, it's like 200 and something pages. So maybe there's a lot of photographs or whatever that pad the length of the hardcover edition, but the Kindle edition, 87 pages. I'd like to play a little game here. So what I did was I Googled shitty Instagram poetry. I took the top two results, and then I took one of Mr. McConaughey's poems. I'm going to read you all three poems. I want you to decide which one is the McConaughey poem and which one is the shitty Instagram poem. And again, these were the top two. I didn't go looking for the shittiest poetry. The top two results for shitty Instagram poetry on Google. So the first one, when requesting anything you do not possess, the answer is no until it is yes. Poem 2. If love is a crisis, then call me a criminal. I can't lock away these feelings for you. And
That
poem
sounds like
3.
Instagram.
She wasn't waiting for a knight. She was waiting for a sword.
I think poem 1 is McConaughey, because he uses that turn of phrase a lot. When he was asked if he was going to run for governor, he said, "I am not until I am."
Ooh.
This guy knows
McConaughey.
I was thinking it was McConaughey too.
Yeah, I can confirm that it's McConaughey. I think the fact that you guessed it proves nothing.
I would
except
agree
for the
because
fact that you've read McConaughey's last book.
Since I didn't know that was a phrase that he's used before, I did not know which one was McConaughey at all. So I didn't have the inside
he likes track. To do a punchy little no until yes thing.
People love it though. So Emily from Germany, he did it again. A master at choosing the right words at the right time. 5 stars from Amazon. Yeah, I'm giving it. I can't remember my system. Is 10 shits bad and 1 shit is good? You want more shit, right?
I was always confused about that.
Yeah, I always just do like a low score is bad, but I realize you switch it up.
Yeah, if you want more logs, like if it's shittier, it would be more shits, right? I'm giving it 8 shits.
Yeah. We need to standardize.
All right, running down some other new releases that we're tracking here. Balls, How Trump, Young Men, and Sports Saved America by Clay Davis. This is #1 bestseller in sports essays. It's out already. If you're looking to pick it up, it was released November 4th. Hardcover is $27.96. The blurb, Democrats don't have a Trump problem. They have a man problem. And Trump was just the guy to exploit it. How did he do it? When he got right down to it, Trump had balls and the Democrats didn't. So it's a double entendre. Balls.
Yeah, we get it.
Coming out today, actually, Veterans Day, Remembrance Day, Unfettered by John Fetterman, #1 bestseller in United States local governments. Hardcover, $32. Why? Yeah, I mean, I am a big fan of John Fetterman. The guy is an unhinged lunatic. If you haven't read, there was a profile of him going back to May 2025 in New York Magazine by this guy, Ben Terrace, and it just outlines what a loon Fetterman is. His positions on Gaza are genocidal. He's locking himself in his office and having meltdowns. He's driving his car around, speeding on the highway while he's on Facebook, getting in car accidents. He's fighting with his wife. He's disappearing for days at a time. Like he's got unhinged.
Such an interesting like story arc, like of how people rallied behind him and stuff, and like got him elected, and now everyone hates him and stuff. It's wild. I'm very interested in him.
Yeah, I might pick that one up.
I think it's pretty good. Like you get elected and then you're like, I'm just too sad to do my job.
But I'm also too sad to quit.
Yeah.
I'm too sad to stop cashing these checks.
I think he has the lowest attendance rate in the Senate, and he's like, well, they don't do anything there anyways. It's like, well, buddy, why did you sign up for the job if you don't want to go and do it?
I don't know about the other stuff, but at least on that point, I got a little respect for him. Someone just not showing up.
Yeah, grifting the government, I'm down for, I guess. I mean, I can't fault him for that. We're also looking at Road to Queendom, 365 daily reflections and affirmations to keep your crown straight by Queen S. Ofori. That's also coming out today, $25 on hardcover. Every day is a new opportunity to reinforce your crown and embrace your power. This inspiring book of daily affirmations and reflection questions is designed to give every queen the confidence to thrive and think differently. The author, her name is Queen. I don't know if that's her legal name, but that's what she's going by. Driven by a passion to uplift women, Queen has successfully facilitated the Road to Queendom workshops, empowering participants to boost their self-esteem and seize better opportunities. Queen lives by the principle of abundance and embraces life with a royal mindset. Good goddamn, I can't read today. It's almost 1 a.m. My brain has shut down for the day. That was the book report. I'll pass it off now to my esteemed colleague, Chip Wilson. Scratch that. I pass it off to my esteemed colleague, Dr. Bo Dashington, who's going to walk us through the way...
Take it away.
The way of the shadow wolves, the deep state, and the hijacking of America. Steven Seagal and Tom Morrissey, forward by Joe Arpaio, America's sheriff. Dr. Bo Dashington, take it away.
Yeah, thanks. I really don't even know where to begin with this one, to be completely honest with you. I think it's, we were talking about the subreddit before, and it's worth mentioning that we had, there was a great post by one of the users, Hermit187 Purveyor, who kind of like also discovered this book and wrote a review of it. And it's kind of funny because we hadn't seen that before we decided to do this book. So it's funny that we both separately discovered this gigantic piece of shit. I mean, where do you even start with Steven Seagal? Do people know who Steven Seagal is? It might be a dumb question, but do like the kids of today know who he is? Or is it just like old white guys who watched action movies in the 80s and 90s? Does everyone else actually know who he is?
I think everybody knows who Seagal is. I don't know about the kids, but I don't think they'd listen to us anyway.
I don't think young kids, I don't think people like teenagers and younger, I don't think they know who he is.
No, I think he's become such an internet meme that he's well known. Even if you've never seen his movies, you've probably watched some YouTube clips of him on the TikTok, maybe. You might know him as special representative for U.S., Russia cultural links, cultural and historical heritage as well, his current role.
Yeah, people don't remember his golden era, Yeah.
And his golden era was extensive. Like, he was in more than like 60 movies, and he plays all sorts of characters, right? Like, he plays like cops who know martial arts. He plays soldiers who know martial arts. He plays environmentalists who know martial arts. Like, there's a really sort of diverse portfolio there. And he's also, really especially skilled at playing. You never know what ethnicity he actually is, or you don't know what country he's from, because he's a master of disguise. He's a master of accents. And it's funny that, Rich, that you had that game set up before, because I've actually set up a little bit of a game myself. And we're going to play, I'm hoping we can play a little round of Guess the Ethnicity, where I'm going to play you fellas a clip from a Steven Seagal hit.
Yes.
And I'd like you to try to guess what ethnicity Steven Seagal is doing. Let's start with an easy one. It might take a second for me to get this ready and share the screen. Might have to edit this part out. Okay. Will
you dial up the video on this audio medium? We'll just let the dead air hang heavy. And actually, so this is I have a bit of a cheat sheet, because I put together, me and Gemini, my new friend, ChatGPT can suck a dick. I'm a Gemini guy these days. I put together this big table of all of his different ethnicities and eras. So I've got the goods right in front of me.
Let's play along anyway.
What a great way to spend Remembrance Day, playing Guess the Ethnicity.
Here's clip number 1.
Oh, Vinny, come over here. Listen, you shouldn't talk to me that way. You know why? Because, like, you and I, we don't know each other so good. You were still sucking your thumb when your brother was around town sucking dicks.
All right, what could it be? Anyone want to
Is
take a
that Out
guess?
for Justice?
Yeah, you're kind of ruining the game. Could we at least pretend to play along? It is Out for Justice. That's correct.
I'm gonna guess he kind of sounds like a mob, like Italian kind of guy. Maybe that's
like a kind of like a Sliwa voter, I think.
Yeah.
By the way, that my cheat sheet doesn't have screen grabs from all his movies. I just know his top films, and that's top of the tops.
I'm so proud of your fucking cheat sheet.
That's correct, though.
Yeah, I was correct.
That was Italian. I'm not sure if he was from Rome or Sicily. I didn't spot the nuance there. But yeah.
Do you know the character's name? Gino Felino.
Vinny Bambino. Yeah, there you go.
Vinny Bambino's not far off.
Yeah. Big Vinny Bambino, something like that. Something horrible. All right, ready for number 2?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I'm into this.
All right, listen up. We got new coordinates for the new landing zone closer to the coast. And it's going to be right about him. All right, listen up. We got new coordinates for the new landing.
I mean, that last little bit sounded like, I don't know, like New Orleans he tried to go for? Like Cajun?
What? Yeah. Well done. Well done. Spot on. That is, of course, a Louisiana accent. Notes of Cajun.
I will say,
but I
think the attire is also helping me out quite a bit.
Yeah.
If you've ever watched the series Lawman, and it's among the best work that he's ever done, that's when it's his reality show where he's a cop, and he's in Louisiana, he's in New Orleans, and he puts on the accent, and it's more than just like Louisiana cop. I think it's like a hybrid of Louisiana cop, but it also blends his like black guy blues musician persona because he has released some blues albums.
Yes.
And he claims deep cultural ties to the black community. And like when he goes out on the beat, black people fucking love him. And I know it's selectively edited. Like I'm not saying that every black guy loves Seagal. I'm not making that generalization. But in this show, and I'm sure he gets final cut, he makes sure that when he's on the street, like the folks are fucking loving him. So anyways, sorry, go ahead.
Should I play the next one?
Please.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this one.
I'm kind of tired of all this shit. And I know what you're thinking. I don't blame you, and I like your style. You know? But this could go two ways. One way it could go is like stupid, and it turn into war. And war ain't no good for business. It ain't good for nobody.
What's that? What's that
Is
ethnicity?
fat jackass an ethnicity? I don't know that one. It's not on Deadly Ground, is it?
That
Is
is
Native American?
No, that is Force of Execution. That's his African American as he bonks.
Well, also, if you, what's the one with DMX? Exit Wounds, I think, where he's also a black guy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I was gonna play the Native American one. I won't play that one since since you guys can already guess.
Yeah, I was watching videos of him like back in the day with his old sensei that he ran a dojo with in four, I think. I think he married that guy's daughter in Japan, like his original roots, because he spent a bunch of time in Japan, right? Like right after when he was young.
That's where he started martial arts. Right?
He speaks Japanese well.
Does he?
Yeah, and I mean, I think Aikido is like kind of a scam, generally speaking. Like it's just kind of like a fake martial art, as far as I understand. Not that I'm an expert. Taekwondo? I thought that's more legit. But there's a part in it where he speaks Japanese pretty well, and like his master or whatever, the guy who trained him and went into business with him, like talks a bunch about like, oh, he's more Japanese than Japanese people, and you know. People will say that kind of thing, and I think it's kind of a patronizing way to speak to someone who's living somewhere else. But I feel like Seagal maybe like just took that concept genuinely early on, and he's like, "Oh, I can just kind of like adopt any kind of local culture, and they're gonna love me for it, and I'm more X than X sort of thing." You know, when you think about his ethnic fluidity, I wonder how much is connected to his early time in Japan.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's not just in these roles, also in his music, in this book, in everything. It's not really him coming from some specific culture. It's him kind of claiming to have perfectly adapted and integrated, whether it's Native American, whether it's even law enforcement, whether it's African American, whatever it is, Japanese.
Yeah, well, and Japanese really like co-opting, like in their subcultures, very common to like co-opt foreign cultures and see nothing wrong with like, completely dressing in like what would be considered total, like extreme cultural appropriation elsewhere, you know? So maybe at the end of the day, he's just very Japanese.
There's others that we haven't mentioned. I don't know. I don't want to jump the gun on your game, Bo, unless those are more videos that you wanted to get into.
I could do one more.
Please. Well, you pull that up. So I don't think this isn't part of his movie persona, but he was formerly recognized as a Tolku, a reincarnated lama named Chungdrag Dorje in 1997. This is some lama from, I believe it was the 17th century. So he's also a Tibetan Buddhist lama. His actual ethnicity, does anyone know what it is? He's Russian Jewish, apparently. But he claims now that he's moved to Russia to be minority there. So he claims that he's like Yakut and Buryat, which are some minority groups in Russia. But those claims are viewed skeptically because he's almost certainly just ethnically Russian Jewish.
Here's the last clip. This is for all the marbles. Guess the ethnicity.
I think the foundation of all people has to be where we come from ultimately. And ultimately, where we come from is the divine.
I have no idea.
What kind of accent was that?
It's
It's the kind of accent we used to do in the playground when we were kids that isn't allowed anymore in polite company.
oh, you're totally right. Yeah, it's like it's like a 10-year-old's just the first time they try to do some kind of ethnic accent. You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
vaguely
it's just
Cantonese, but not quite.
The answer is
Esperanto. Okay.
nobody knows. Nobody knows what he was doing. But yes, it's Steven Seagal. Yeah, what a guy. He's kind of obviously, in addition to all the his action movie acumen and playing all sorts of different ethnicities, he's famous for lots of bad reasons too. He's sort of notorious for like hurting stuntmen in films, of like hitting them when he's not supposed to, and it's kind of well known across the trade that he just does it extremely often. Even there's an interview with, I'm pretty sure, is it one with DMX, where DMX talking about how much he hates him and how he hit DMX as well when he wasn't supposed to. He's also famous for like a string of sexual assaults, like a very large number, including of some, Katherine Heigl even kind of said publicly that he kind of had groped her when she was like an underage teenager I think that was in the original Under Siege. And it's like, it's not, we don't want to litigate Me Too. That's not what we're here for. The Wikipedia article's there if people want to read it. It's many, many examples. It's not just one or two. It's many.
What's wild is how many, so I looked it up for this podcast, just how many well-known actresses have made accusations against this guy. Like, it's not just a string of B movie stars, not to say that that would be excusable, but it's not like he was just sexually harassing, the woman who played the stripper on Out for Justice or whatever. Like, he was going after a lot of women who turned into super A-grade talent, which is almost impressive in a way. Obviously, it's horrible. He's, he's
like,
a disgusting
if he
pig.
had an eye, it's impressive how he could pick them out.
But yeah, there's something to it that's almost like it's bizarre how many big names, because this isn't a guy who rubs shoulders with a lot of big Hollywood talent. So there's something almost impressive about how he managed to be a complete scumbag to just so many high profile women.
He should have been a producer, I guess.
Einstein-esque. This guy. And of course, in addition to his acting career, and apparently career as a novelist, he also released music. I think we're going to have to shoehorn a clip of his music into this podcast at some point. But he also has a career in law enforcement, which is kind of what led to this book. I say a career. It's not really any kind of career. He frequently publicly claims to be involved with law enforcement. Claims that he was made a reserve deputy in Louisiana, and he had a TV show on A&E called like Steven Seagal Lawman, which I don't know if you guys watched clips of it, but it's basically just him trailing along with cops while they kind of kick down the doors, or often just knock on the doors at the houses of poor people and then arrest them because there's a warrant. It's not interesting. It's not exciting. It's not even. It's just like overly dramatic music and scenes of Steven Seagal making, what I suppose are intended to be badass comments like, "We got you now, boy," and stuff like that, while just like arresting people for like minor
This was
charges.
when he was actually deputized, right? Like he became a deputy in the...
He's been deputized for decades, though, apparently.
Yeah.
Well,
Does
what
that
happened
mean
with that
anything,
show,
though?
right? Yeah, well, like Elvis was deputized.
Yeah.
You don't need it for the show, but I think they deputized him so that he could actually do the arrest part or whatever.
So the show had 3 seasons. Only 2 of them aired on A&E. First of all, I disagree with your characterization of it being boring. It's, as I said earlier, it's probably my favorite works of his. Endlessly hilarious and fascinating. He's showing them, like in the first episode, he's showing them how to shoot, and he like shoots like a, one bullet through the other bullet hole, and they're all like, "Oh my God, this guy's a real badass." Anyway, so the 3rd season of the show actually got moved to a different network and was delayed for years because of a controversy where they raided, this is from memory, but they raided a cockfighting ring, and they used like a big armored personnel carrier. It was this huge raid, and in the process, they killed a ton of chickens and like some dogs, and A&E was like, Jesus, we can't have Seagal running around murdering dogs for entertainment. So they pulled the whole 3rd season of the show, and then later was picked up by some 3rd-tier cable channel and run years after it was produced. And it's you can get those episodes online, but they're harder to access.
And I'm pretty sure the later stuff was moved to Arizona, to Maricopa County, which is then how he met Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who wrote the foreword to this book, and the co-author to this book. So this book is actually, The Way of the Shadow Wolves, is actually weirdly kind of a product of that TV show.
And I want to say, actually, the foreword, I think, is probably the best written part of the entire book. And I don't mean that humorously. I think that, I don't hold Sheriff Joe in very high esteem, but it's more coherent and I guess briefer than the book. Yeah. It's got, he also, like, no one can resist blowing smoke when it comes to Seagal. If you'll permit me, I just want to read a little bit from the foreword.
Do you want to just like let the avid listeners at home? Not everyone's going to know just show it Sheriff Joe Arpaio is.
Yeah, he was like the long-serving sheriff of Maricopa County in Arizona. He was known for being just a real punitive scumbag. He would house people waiting in pretrial detention in camps in the desert. He'd make them wear pink uniforms. He was a real sort of populist guy in Arizona. He's dead now. Did he die of COVID denialism, or am I just making that up? We'll have to look that up. I can't remember. I thought there was something slightly humorous about his demise, but maybe not. But yeah, he and then he was wrapped up in the MAGA movement and a lot of sort of fringe conspiracy talk and that kind of thing. But he wrote the foreword for this book. That's right. Yeah. So he was corrupt to the bone and then got pardoned by Trump. Thank you. So this is from the foreword, quote, "I know and have worked with Steven Seagal, who was a law enforcement officer, along with being an international movie star. He has an unusual understanding of the world in which the story takes place. During his time with my office, he proved his skills as a fugitive hunter when he arrested one of our top fugitives within 48 hours after beginning the search for him. He brought us a new and extremely effective way of getting the job done."
Wow. And I since it was my week being punished, I read the whole book. But you managed to fight your way through part of it, didn't you?
I got about a third of the way through, yeah, and then I just gave up on it. It's not that interesting of a book.
Oh, hot off the presses, Jane Lynch with an important announcement.
Just want to say, Joe Arpaio is still alive.
Yeah, so fake news from Rich Biblioli about Joe Arpaio dying.
Are you sure about that?
His Wikipedia article says he's still alive. He says is.
I don't believe you.
Doesn't have a death.
All right, there you go.
That's if you believe Wikipedia. But yeah, so like the book, I guess, just laying out like the groundwork for what this book is like. Like we'll dive into the plot, and as you dig in the plot, it connects to loads of themes about like American politics, migration, racism, right-wing nationalism, all sorts of stuff. But like just for people who've never actually looked at it to know what this book is actually like reading, it's really, really tough to get through. Like the book desperately needs an editor. Like everything is described completely literally. There's no emotion, no tension of any kind. The dialogue is the constant back and forth between people, like a literal conversation. Like, hey, how are you? I'm good. You? I'm also good. We need to do something about these migrants. Which migrants? The migrants crossing the desert. What are we going to do? We're going to go out to... It's that type of dialogue, page after page after page. And it's mostly people describing the action, not the action itself.
Quick question. What year was this book released in?
Well, that's a good question.
Just for context, I think.
That's a really important question. 2017.
I think it was 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
By that description, it sounds like it might have been a script first that maybe they shopped around.
Yeah, you might be right. One of the worst parts about the book is how repetitive it is. So you constantly have the feeling that you've already read it, because it's just repeating the same stuff over and over again, which is obviously not a feeling that you want. But one of the worst kind of things, at least like the writing sins, never mind the politics, is it tells you what the conspiracy is right from the beginning. So there's no surprises, there's no tension about uncovering the deep state conspiracy. It just tells you right away. So you've got there's lots of very famous books, the Da Vinci Code, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, where you're getting like bits of information along the way and trying to put the puzzle together. This one does the opposite of that. It just tells you everything right from the beginning. Some books do that and do it really well. Like 1984 famously does that. It just tells you exactly what's going on right from like the first couple pages. But you need to have plot and character in order to still make it interesting. And this book doesn't have either of those. The main character is like, and it's we were talking about the Turner Diaries last week. This book is just like the Turner Diaries. It's built on that idea that like an increased diversification and political correctness in society is going to lead to civil war, which is going to bring everything down. The only difference between this and the Turner Diaries is that the main character is like a magical Indian Steven Seagal MarySue. The main character, his name is John Nantan Gode. He is a shadow wolf, the titular shadow wolf. And shadow wolves are those who were trained in the old ways because they had the natural instincts of a wolf and could do things like track people and animals based on factors that others couldn't see or smell. They were legends of the Native American culture, no matter what tribe or nation. For some reason, never explained, he's a martial arts expert.
Is that a common thing? I'm sure we don't know, but like, is that a common thing with Native Americans that they are okay with white people, but they don't want undocumented immigrants coming in from like the southern border? Is not something I've ever heard before. That
I think it's probably a lens through which the U.S. state accepts Native Americans.
Yeah.
The Shadow Wolves are a real unit.
Yeah, they're legitimate.
Yeah, it is a real thing. They're sort of like Homeland Security's Gurkhas, or the I don't know what they fall under, but it is like a real like unit for Border Patrol or something, I believe.
Although there's apparently only like 15 of them actually serving these days.
And
sort of some
in the book,
vestigial unit.
They have like magic powers. They're not just regular Border Patrol.
This is a fantasy novel.
I think according to the author, it's practically nonfiction. But they can like commune with their ancestors. They see magic animals. They commune with wolves. They can sense when another shadow wolf is being killed. Kind of like there's a disturbance in the force, and they feel it and tell from far away. We'll get into this later, but they get visits from ghosts. And they kind of spend their time dancing in the desert and like just chanting and doing quote shaman rituals. But I
love that Seagal intended it to be deeply reverential, but it just comes off as so offensive. I mean, I'm not offended, but I can see how if you were someone who had any stake in this, you'd be offended by this depiction.
Yeah. But it smacks of like there's a long tradition in popular culture of extremely white guys kind of adopting the mantle of like Native Americans and getting dressed up in red face. And famous examples like the actor Iron Eyes Cody or Grey Owl in Canada.
Right.
And my favorite example, if I can have a favorite example of red face, which was the Native American consultant hired to advise the TV show Star Trek Voyager. That just ended up like the guy was just a white guy who then made up a bunch of stuff about Native American culture, which is why the Native American in the show is constantly talking about
is so cool.
Exactly. He's always talking about the bones of his ancestors, and he's always got like a dreamweaver behind him, and he's always trying to commune with the spirits and teach people yoga for some reason. And it's funny because the show tried to do something positive and have a real Native American character, but they got scammed. Should we go into the plot of what actually starts happening in the book? So it just kind of tells you right away. He's kind of out and about in the desert, and there's some suspicious stuff going on. And he realizes almost immediately that the Mexican cartels are smuggling people across. But it's not just them. They're working with the jihadists. It's the Mexican jihadists working together. And he tries to report it to the feds, and the feds just basically tell him to shut up and go away. And he realizes that the feds are in on it. They're on it too. They try to kill the main character, but he escapes. And he manages to track down 2 migrants in the desert, and he takes them prisoner. And at first he thinks they're Mexican because, they look like Mexicans. But then he starts getting suspicious of them and thinks they might be, quote, Arab speaking, not Arabic speaking, but Arab speaking. And so he just starts yelling things in Arabic at one of them. And the guy acts surprised, and that's the proof that he's obviously a jihadist, right? And the second guy he tricks by offering him a sandwich of pulled pork. And the guy responds, "Oh, I don't eat the swine." He spat it out, then caught himself and added, "I mean pork. Pork makes me sick. I mean really sick." And that's how they caught the two guys, the two, quote, Arab-speaking guys who are from Pakistan. Who,
I love
as you
that.
probably all know, is not an Arabic-speaking country.
Genius.
I think your dog hears you talking about that pork sandwich.
Yeah, he's losing his mind.
Yeah, there's a lot of pork stuff in it, isn't there? Also, there's like that pig's blood scene later. I don't know if you're going to get to it, but there's a part later where he stabs a guy, dips the knife in pig's blood first.
Oh, what a dick.
I think I'm correct on that, Rich. I'm not sure if you got to that part.
I didn't get to that part of the book, but it sounds like it has some historical parallels with famous events in India, or I don't know if they're apocryphal, but
Yeah. I was saying there's a part later, sorry if I jumped ahead a little bit here, Bo, but there's like a part where he stabs a guy, but he dips the knife in pig's blood beforehand, which is like this strange thing you see show up all the time, like if you're in coverage of any conflict, of like, oh, these soldiers are dipping their bullets in pig's blood and stuff, which has always struck me as a very like cruel and unusual kind of thing for people to get stoked about. It's weird because it kind of like it treats like Muslim people like they're like a vampire that you're shooting with like a silver bullet. And I'm also not sure if they really care that much if they get hit with something that has. I think they care more about the bullet than any of the pig's blood that might be on it, or the knife in this case.
Yeah, I think there's that American general who did it. Pershing did it in. I can't remember where he did it. I want to say it was in the Philippines during the American military actions there in the early 20th century. But yeah, it's the sort of thing that's just trying to be offensive. It's not. It's haram for Muslims to consume pork, but it doesn't specifically say you're extra in trouble if the blade gets dipped in pig's blood. Like that's not a thing.
Yeah, like I think the offensive part is them killing them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was in the Philippines in the beginning of the 20th century, but then also the British were accused of doing it during, I think, like the Sepoy Revolt or something like that. Sepoy.
Yeah. So we're not even like, we're only a few pages into the book at this point, and the conspiracy is spilled. Here's the list of everyone involved in the conspiracy: the Muslim Brotherhood, Hezbollah, the Islamic State, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the NSA, the DA, the CEI, the FBI, the Mexican cartels, the Mexican government, the Saudi government, the Catholic Church, the media, and the universities are all working together in this book for the same conspiracy. Every single one of them.
Damn.
Wow. Getting Riyadh and Tehran to work together. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, getting and Hezbollah and the Islamic State. Mortal enemies fighting wars against each other, but suddenly they're all best of friends when they're threatened with pork bullets. But the weird... so the actual conspiracy makes no sense. So it's basically the president is inviting all these Mexican jihadists across the border, like 500 of them.
Yeah.
And FEMA is going to use a special train to pick them up and distribute them around the country. And the logic is basically that they're going to do a string of terrorist attacks across the country, which is then going to cause a civil war, and which is going to rip apart the United States and the collapse of Western civilization. So basically the terrorist attacks just leads to everything ending, which is, of course, the exact opposite of how people respond to terrorist attacks. Like there's a very clear, it's called the rally around the flag effect after things like 9/11. Nationalism comes out really strongly. But in this book, instead of like that increased nationalism, they basically all turn into that meme of the grandpa that just basically says, "Guess I'll die." So they all just, there's a terrorist attack in the States, and so they all just rip their own country apart, which obviously doesn't make any sense.
I'm looking at the section on the pig's blood. It's quite something. Pig's blood, asshole, John whispered as he moved around about 45 degrees to the right side of Kazi. How's that pig's blood feel, asshole? Starting to course through your veins, maybe even pissing off the prophet. I have a special delivery for you from the prophet, said the terrorist.
Awfully cruel and awfully stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the worst kind of racism because it's like, it's not fun or funny or intelligent. It's just stupid.
After he gets, after he tracks down these two guys, he confirms that they're Mexican, Iranian, Saudi jihadists from the Catholic Church or whatever the hell they are. This is one of the funniest scenes in the book. Sorry?
Persian as well.
Oh, they're also Persian. Yeah. They're basically everything. There's one of the funnier and dumber scenes in the book where he gets a visit from his dead grandfather. And he's basically hanging out with this girl he's interested in. And he tells her that he can commune with his dead grandfather. And she says, does he speak to you? And he says, he doesn't have to. It's just the look in the eyes and the energy changes. And then he says he needs to go find a bush to get some privacy so he can commune with his grandfather. So he goes behind the bush and the grandfather appears. Grandfather, is that you? And he starts talking to him, which immediately obviously undermines what he just said of that all you need is a look in the eyes. But the grandfather says, listen closely, John Godet, because this is the only time I'm going to be able to talk with you. If the Great Spirit wanted you to live in the past, he would have given you eyes in the back of your head. Do not allow your heart to be painted with the brush of false decision. I have told you since you were a baby, you judge a man by the way he walks, by the tracks he leaves. Look back and read those tracks, my grandson. Just immediately contradicting himself, saying don't live in the past, but make sure you're paying attention to everything in the past. And then the girl comes back around the corner and goes, who were you talking to? And he's like, he just told you he was going to speak with his dead grandfather.
Just had to find a bush.
Just had to find a bush. A bit of privacy.
Rich, I think you're still on the dating scene. You should try that out on a first date.
Baby, I got to go into the bushes for a second. Got to commune with my old grandfather. It's Remembrance Day after all.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so mysterious.
Yeah. And then my old grandfather, who didn't have eyes in the back of his head because he famously got shot in the ass while running away from the eye ties in WW2.
He's got eyes in the back of his ass.
Well, no, if he did, he wouldn't have got shot there. But back to the book. Why is it so? Having read the whole thing, Doctor, why is the main character so skeptical or so suspicious of the deep state? Like, is there a backstory that I missed? Because even right at the beginning, where he's talking to this other guy he meets at the casino who gives him this lowdown about these people who crossed over and he saw them at night in trucks and blah, 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 the suspicious activity. And he's like, I wonder if it's the deep state. And it's like,
yeah.
What? Why would you think automatically that it's the deep state? It's the cartel, it's people smugglers, it's, kids just out camping. Why the deep state?
Iran, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He just jumps to the conclusion straight away. Like his suspicions are confirmed when he tries to report things up the chain of command, and he's kind of shot down. And then later, someone sends to kill him. But like, he jumps to the conclusions based on just really weird stuff. Like the evidence he finds for like the jihadist connection is they find a bunch of Qurans in the desert, and it's just like I don't think jihadists tend to treat the Quran with reverence. They don't just toss copies of it around the desert and just dump them everywhere like garbage. But yeah, the whole conspiracy is just laid out as fact really quickly into the book.
I guess it's probably because he's connected to the Force as a shadow wolf, so he's able to tap into some esoteric knowledge about it.
Yeah, I guess he's just got like magic Indian powers.
I think that's the well. If this is like, how do you say it? Well, I think it's probably tied to like they use like the genocide of Native Americans as like it's co-opted as like a sin of government, of U.S. government in this case, to to then blame the deep state. Like I think I don't know if you know what I mean, but like I think it's pretty common. You'll see along in right-wing circles to talk about like past terrible things the U.S. has done just to justify whatever their current conspiracy theory or agenda they're pushing. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just tied into that. It's like, oh, he's this Native American character who knows how evil government truly is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that's basically the approach that's taken. It's him and his gang of the Shadow Wolves, who are all. Oh, but by the way, it's never said what indigenous nation he's from, and there's nothing specific about like he's not connected to some specific culture or anything like that. It's just all these like very generic tropes about
Do
indigenous
the
people.
other members of the Shadow Wolves have any like character, or are they just like nameless, or like just dudes that are just there?
They're just dudes that are there. There's a few that are named, but they're so profoundly uninteresting that I deleted all my notes about them, and I refuse to go back and look at them.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
It does say that his mom is like Cherokee in one spot, I think, or he got Cherokee teachings from his mom. But then that's contradicted elsewhere. Like, yeah, it's very his specific ethnicity is nondescript. It's just sort of generically Native American.
Yeah.
Does he have like a boy he's mentoring in it? It's a common Seagal trope.
Yes,
He does. He does.
Yeah.
he does.
Some kid called Sweet Tooth.
Sweet Tooth.
Yeah. Who's a kid from the reservation, who's there at the beginning and then just somehow disappears in the plot, like every other
Got
character.
diabetes.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no villain either. The few times when you think it's gonna present a villain, like it tells this story of this kid who's basically like this teenager in Mexico who's forced into a gang, and you think, oh, this is probably building up the villain, and he's just gone by the next chapter. Yeah.
Do they ever flesh out, like, because it was the Arabs, the decadent Arabs who are using hookers and drugs? Those guys, they show up later in the book?
They do, yeah. The jihadists all have like women and music and parties in their camp. So the way the plot progresses is once they work out like, oh yeah, there's this army of Mexican, Persian, whatever jihadists about to cross the border, they sneak into the desert to track down their camp in a terrorist hideout cave, and that's where the final big battle kind of takes place. And when they get there, there's people are drinking and celebrating, and there's women and dancing and all that sort of stuff. And they have their big fight. And this is the part, by the way, is the fighting where I think Steven Seagal has contributed to it, because it's all like for some unknown reason, everybody knows martial arts, including the jihadists and the American police, just everybody. So the fights are all these like weird martial arts fights, but they also use martial arts that just sound so generic and fake. So they would give you a few of them. So one is John put his hand up and turned it from front to back, then closed the pinky to the thumb in a circular grasp known in martial arts as the Talon Fist. And at another point, he uses Iron Face, which is a face completely void of emotion, empty, and abyss. It's just like that awful.
It's like a Pokemon ability.
Use Iron Face.
Yeah. But then I guess it builds up to the big fight scene between him and the main jihadist guy, who only appears in the last few chapters as the villain. And as they sneak up to the camp, one of the Shadow Wolves says to another one, like, oh, don't forget about the snake pits in this part of the desert. You know how pissed off the snakes get if you interrupt them getting some. Be careful and don't step in a snake pit. Which is basically just like, it's Chekhov's snake pit, right? You know, you mentioned a snake pit early on, you know that it's coming back later on. And then you have that scene where he fights the guy and threatens him with the pig's blood, and he almost falls into the snake pit, and then John Nantan Gode basically threatens to throw him in the snake pit unless he reveals the plan, which he immediately does. Tells them the whole plan. They phone their allies, and they stop all the terrorist attacks, and they win. And that's the end.
I didn't make it that far, but I think early on they also mentioned it's like the snake is his spirit animal. I think early on, or he has some ancestral connection to snakes.
Yeah.
Am I right? So, I mean, that's great writing.
Yeah. He's also got connection to wolves, because a ghost wolf keeps appearing for no specific reason.
Yeah, but a wolf pit doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I'd be more terrified of a pit of wolves, but...
Oh, he also went tiger face at one point, which is a martial arts method of draining all expression from one's face. And he uses monkey wrist. He hits someone with monkey wrist, which I'm not entirely sure what that one is.
One of the things that struck me about the book is that there's a lot of gratuitous shorthand and like they use the term like OTM everywhere in the book. And I'm wondering, like, is this, and there's all sorts of other, there's other things like that, where if you're not well versed in this sort of, this vocabulary, it can be confusing. But what I'm not sure of is, like, is he trying to signal his law enforcement credentials? Or is it sort of like, is it right-wing talk? Like if you went on some sort of like, far right anti-immigrant message board, are they throwing around all of this lingo?
That I don't know.
I had to look it up. Like OTM is like other than Mexicans.
Yeah.
Sounds like Meal Team 6 kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Which he's kind of the king of that, I suppose.
Gravy seals. Yeah, there's a lot of that, though. There is a lot of that signaling to like the right-wing audience that the book is very clearly for. Like the weapons they carry, I don't know if you saw this. They all carry a type of gun known as a Sig Sauer. And I had to look up, I've never heard of it. I had to look up what that is.
That's a Nazi gun.
Is it?
I think the Nazi.
You sure about that?
No, I'm not sure about that at all. I thought
like
Joel Parra was dead.
No, it's Swiss. But it's really popular in the States, and they have a special line that they've just released called the Freedom Line, which has like an American flag and the word freedom written on the side, and a percentage of all the profits go to Turning Point USA in the name of Charlie Kirk. But all the agents in this book carry those types of guns. And there's even like there's weird name like drops of like after they rescue a couple hostages at one point. And the chapter just ends with, they'd functioned like a well-oiled machine that had just saved 2 innocent lives. And all lives matter, don't they?
Yeah, it's so on the nose.
Yeah.
I will hand it to him, though, that the plot of this book, they did something really, really smart, which was you've got all this worldwide cabal network of people all together, and the plot centered around seemingly stopping this terrorist plot which was just some patsies in this grander scheme. But that left them open to have just a lot of sequels and just keep going. Because they obviously haven't stopped the higher ups. You got to start moving your way through the network. So I got to give them props.
The book ends on a cliffhanger, which is from the perspective of the new president who just came into power in 2016, unnamed, who's here to fight the war against the deep state. Throughout the book, it never explicitly, I don't think it ever mentions Obama, except to criticize some of his prisoner swaps. But it talks about, the previous president, he did all these things of like inviting in all the jihadists, and he was raised Muslim, and we all know he was raised Muslim. He's going to be disappointed with this new president, that's for sure. Dude won't even release the Epstein files, so what the fuck?
So I didn't come across any direct mention of Obama's name, but I think they do mention Fast and Furious, which the right wing love, like Eric Holder, the DA, or the head of the Justice Department at the time. That was that scandal where they were running guns into Mexico to try to track them and root out the cartel, but they lost track of all the guns, and it turned into a huge political scandal for Obama. And it was sort of like it was like Benghazi and some of these other scandals that the right sort of jumped on and really made a mountain out of.
Yeah, that's mentioned a few times. The prisoner swaps are mentioned. But there's also these like really kind of mean-spirited like digs at different groups of people. Like there's a part where they just complain about hippies, and he just talks about how hippies are the dumbest people and the easiest people to fool.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, not wrong.
There's another part of refugees where it just basically says that, terrorists were snuck into the country as refugees and they took jobs from veterans. And this is also pretty on the nose. It's all coordinated and funded from abroad by a guy called Konstantin Loros, which is presumably a very thin, new name for George Soros.
Konstantin Loros.
Financier. Yeah.
Well, and you didn't mention, but there's a preface in the book it's sort of a one-page preface that essentially outlines all of these paranoid fantasies before the book then jumps into its lightly fictionalized portrayal of the mind of Seagal. And so it's, it asks all of these rhetorical questions.
Yeah.
What if the greatest crimes against humanity occur at the banking level? What if the mainstream media is a complicit partner with the banking political intelligence communities? What if universities are complicit in the deep state narrative? What if religions are complicit in the deep state? What if the deep state's our common enemy?
So it asks all those questions, and it culminates with like basically a paramilitary group attacking what sounds like a music festival in the desert.
Pretty much. Yeah. And the only other one is it's very complimentary, of course, of anyone in the American military, but even like the Mexicans coming across the desert, the cartel guys and the jihadists are extremely complimentary of American police and how judicious they are and how they play by the rules. Like at one point, one cop threatens to beat up one of the suspects, and the jihadist goes, "You don't do that. American cops don't kill people for nothing. You guys are different from cops in other parts of the world." Just been like, what the fuck? That's not how American cops come across as a general rule.
So is Seagal's insert character in this like going rogue, or is he working with all the police across?
He's working with the Shadow Wolves, and there's a couple contacts that he has that are good cops, but most of the official agencies are all part of the deep state, so they're all tainted.
Okay, gotcha.
I think it's important to note, too, that this book came out the year after Seagal got his Russian passport. So although he might try to portray himself as...
He moved to Moscow in 2016 or something.
So you think it was part of that deal?
I don't know if it's part of the deal. My point is, like, he portrays himself as this ultimate patriot, but this was right in the middle of him leaving the country in disgrace because he was exposed as just a serial rapist and having to flee to Russia. So as much as he might love the U.S., during this time, he's getting Serbian and Russian citizenship, and he's fleeing the country.
But there's that weird sort of like unholy alliance between lots of like very right-wing American Christian nationalists who really admire Putin and that Russian Christian nationalism, because they have lots of shared beliefs and principles, whether it's homophobia and against the LGBTQ communities and basic rights, or whether it's about the importance of the centrality of Christianity and quote unquote traditional values, or whatever the term is, and the importance of state nationalism and bizarrely at like an extra powerful state that punches very firmly internationally. So it's like, I don't know if that is surprising that he's a right wing guy who also loves Russia, but I think that's pretty common.
It's common now.
Yeah.
No, I think that's fair. Yeah, it definitely taps into a vein, as you say, in far-right American politics. Most people don't take it as far as he has. Most people aren't willing to commit to living in Russia in order to show their support for the war in Ukraine and for Putin and for their homophobia. So, I mean, to that, I guess hats off, Seagal. He's walking the walk, but
he does still own property in the States, though. So he does sometimes go back.
So do you think he's more just doing like the NHL player thing, Rich, where he's got as soon as you get a bunch of sexual assault allegations against you, you go play in the KHL?
Want to play in the KHL?
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's not making any movies over there. He did. Last year or the year before, he put out a propaganda video whitewashing the war in Ukraine. But yeah, I think the guy sort of think of his values, think of the kind of people that his media appeals to. It's got to be a way better life in Russia for him than it would be in the US. Like, he's probably still like semi-god in Russia.
Not only that, I'm sure his wealth will go a lot further in Russia than it would in the States. Because right now, I just looked it up. His net worth is like $14 million in 2025. I don't think that's going to get you as far in, because he has property in California. I don't think that I think he's going to be living. He's going to live in good, but I think he can live a lot better in Russia.
Well, and he's kind of, he comes across generally as like a lazy guy. And, you know, with a lot of, like, if you're part of like Russian propaganda, or I think he's done a bit with some kind of ambassador for China, which is interesting given his like Japan connections, I think. But, you know, a lot of that's just standing in the background for events or sitting, which is probably his preference. But
yeah.
So I think he probably enjoys that, you know, quite a bit.
Hey, who doesn't enjoy going to a military parade? I mean,
I can't fault him for that.
Exactly.
I know Rich had some envy seeing him sitting watching the Moscow military parade a few years ago.
It's no China parade, but I wouldn't kick it out of bed.
Well, that's all my thoughts on this book. I'll be very happy to delete my notes, forget about it, never come back to it. I can't remember now I'm kind of exhausted and brain fried from trying to work my way through the logic of this book. I forget how our scoring system works.
I was going to say, what's your rating?
4 dumps.
4 dumps, where 10 dumps is the most shit ever a book has ever been shat on.
Oh, but I did it backwards. 7 dumps. 7 dumps then.
We're going to have to take this offline and figure out, because I think more dumps is worse, but
yeah, that's what I'm
having a
going
higher-
for. It's worse.
yeah.
It's one of the worst things I've ever read for the Piece of Shit Book Club. The worst thing I've ever read still is that Pink Swastika book, which is horrendous for many reasons other than that's the book that basically claims to provide evidence that the Nazis were all gay, and that the modern LGBTQ movement is just literally inherited from the Nazis. They're just Nazis in disguise. It's so I can't remember who made me read that after I lost a bet. I think it was Chip. Yeah, I still haven't really recovered from that. That's the worst I've ever read.
I remember you were so mad.
I was mad for
genuinely
weeks.
pissed off. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a little bit better than that, but not much.
Well, Dr. Dashington, thank you for doing what nobody else was willing to do and take us through this train wreck, this literary loser, Steven Seagal. I want to thank everyone else for coming on today, for your contributions, for always showing up for the book club, for making this club what it is. Jane Lynch, Chip Wilson, always lovely to see your beautiful smiling faces on the pod. For everyone else out there, check out the subreddit, post, comment. That is our Piece of Shit Book Club. Come the end of this podcast, I'm beat. I just don't have the energy you guys saw today. It's because I'm not getting my Super Male Vitality pills. But yeah, thanks for listening. We'll see you again in a couple weeks. This is Rich Biblioli signing out. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Now you know, let have a shot of rum. Then me can make you come.